Malaysia will broaden its sales and services tax SST and rationalize the RON 95 petrol subsidy next year, among other reforms outlined by Prime Minister Dato Sri Anwar Ibrahim for Budget 2025. We speak with Benedict Wirasena from Baitul Amanah about his thoughts on the hits and misses of the budget.
The prosperity that we have it's good at the moment, but in this prosperity, we need to ensure that we are consciously reducing our fiscal deficit. And I commend the government for their efforts from 5.5% in 2022 to 5% to 4.3%, and finally a projected 3.8% in 2025. However, this still falls short of the midterm review goal, a midterm review of the 12th Malaysian Plan goal to achieve a fiscal deficit target between 3.5 and 3% of GDP. And I think one of the reasons why this is so is because Budget 2025 has a bit of a lack of tax reforms in terms of widening the tax base. You see, in terms of research has already estimated that if GST was reinstated in 2024, if just 6%, let's say, we could actually collect an estimated revenue of 63.5 billion, much more than the 35.8 billion projected in the same year for SST. So it's really a missed opportunity. I understand that Prime Minister has already said that GST will be considered in a later date when minimum wage thresholds reach about 3,000 to 4,000. But there can be actually other initiatives. For example, incorporating certain features of the GST into the SST framework, which could create a fairer tax system, improve compliance, and expand revenue generation. And how this is done? Basically, it's a single tax applied to the value added at each stage of the supply chain, and also an input tax credit mechanism that will allow businesses to claim credits for taxes paid on the purchase of goods and services.
Benedict also weighs in on the planned RON 95 subsidy rationalization in phases. Prime Minister revealed that foreign nationals and the top 15% of ultra-wealthy users are receiving 40% of the RON 95 petrol subsidy, which amounts to 8 billion ringgit.
The timing is right. Oil prices remain low this year despite the ongoing conflict in the Middle East. And this is a season ripe for reconfiguring subsidies, especially RON 95. But I really like what the Prime Minister said, that even in education, in terms of fully residential schools, higher education level, and even in public healthcare, that subsidies, blanket subsidies, might be reconsidered and moved to target subsidies, especially for those who can afford it. I think this is a real good form of better targeting of resources, infrastructure improvements. We can better allocate our resources from those who actually feel like, why am I just paying 1 ringgit for a public clinic visit, for example? I can pay much more and afford better quality. Why not improve the quality with the additional funds that you collect from higher payments towards the clinic or school fees for those who can afford it? I think this is something that we really need to consider, and this definitely does not contradict with universal healthcare, because these healthcare services, public healthcare services, will still be accessible. But it's just that those who can pay more should be able to pay more. This will ensure equity in financing and ensuring better quality services in terms of public healthcare and public schools as well.
Benedict also calls for the reform of poverty alleviation programs to be consolidated under a single umbrella initiative to reduce redundancy.
Now, what is the issue here is the fragmentation and overlapping of the many different cash handout programs. And the Prime Minister said this Chinese quote, 一错再错, which means a fatal mistake of repeating the same failure over and over again. And this is the case when it comes to poverty alleviation programs like this. This many number of programs begs the question, how many actually benefit from the same households or target groups benefiting from different or overlapping funding programs at the expense of more deserving households who might not have the literacy or accessibility to access these programs? You know, in fact, in our estimate, there's approximately 17 agencies overseeing a total of 170 distinct social assistance initiatives and programs. This fragmentation actually results in redundant efforts and inefficiencies, which impedes overall effectiveness of addressing poverty. So we feel that all this kind of programs, the different programs, should actually be streamlined under one umbrella. And perhaps this could be a great reform that will finally help us alleviate poverty in our country.